For most of us, illegal means serious crimes, theft, murder, or something that actually harms society. But history? Oh, history said, hold my beer. Because once upon a time, humans made laws so bizarre, so ridiculous, and so painfully stupid that you won't know whether to laugh or lose faith in the entire species. Imagine being fined for whistling, jailed for ice cream, or punished for wearing the wrong hat. Yeah, it gets that weird. Today we're diving into 50 of the strangest illegal things ever believed. In 16th century England, laughing in church wasn't just disrespectful, it was treated like a crime. If someone giggled during a sermon, even accidentally, they could be escorted out, fined, or publicly humiliated. Some records mention people forced to kneel outside the church door holding wooden shame boards. The belief was that laughter opened the door for Satan and weakened spiritual discipline. Imagine being punished because someone next to you sneezed weird and you couldn't stop laughing. In Russia during 1705, Tsar Peter the Great introduced a bizarre rule. If men refused to shave their beards, they had to pay an official beard tax. Guards would stop bearded men on streets, and if they couldn't pay, their beard was forcibly cut off. Those who paid received a small metal coin that read, "The beard is a useless burden." At the time, having a beard was considered sacred. Fighting over facial hair being illegal is next-level strange. In Singapore, chewing gum was once considered such a threat to cleanliness and order that it became illegal in 1992. Not because it was unhealthy, but because people stuck gum on trains, elevators, school doors, and even sensors of subway trains, causing shutdowns. Authorities said gum was a public enemy. You couldn't buy it, sell it, or even bring it from another country. Today, it's partially allowed for medical or dental reasons, but normal gum still restricted. In China during the Qing dynasty, owning or practicing martial arts without government permission was considered illegal. The fear wasn't violence, it was rebellion. Secret combat styles, especially Shaolin-inspired ones, were seen as potential tools for uprisings. Villagers practicing kung fu in hidden fields risked imprisonment or execution. Some schools disguised movements as dance or farming gestures. Imagine something meant for discipline, peace, and survival becoming forbidden because rulers feared power in the wrong hands. In medieval France, eating butter during Lent was once considered illegal for ordinary citizens because the church controlled dietary rules. Butter was labeled sinful luxury, while olive oil was spiritually acceptable. Farmers secretly traded butter like black market gold. Wealthy families paid expensive butter permits to legally enjoy it. Some even hid barrels underground to avoid punishment. It's insane that something as simple as spreading butter on bread could turn you into a rule breaker in your own kitchen. In Japan during the Edo period, walking in large groups at night without a lantern was considered suspicious and punishable. Authorities believed darkness encouraged crime, secret meetings, and rebellion, so every family traveling at night had to carry an approved lantern showing identity or clan symbol. Samurai patrols enforced this rule brutally, attacking anyone wandering without light. Imagine the strange irony. The night wasn't dangerous because of criminals. It was dangerous because of the law. In Victorian-era England, women riding bicycles was once treated almost like a criminal act. Doctors, newspapers, and lawmakers claimed cycling damaged a woman's reproductive organs, changed her behavior, and threatened feminine morality. Some towns even issued public fines or warnings to stop women from riding. Newspapers mocked them as unfeminine rebels. Today we laugh, But back then, riding a simple bike felt like a silent act of revolution against a society scared of female independence. In ancient Egypt, killing a cat, even accidentally, was considered a serious crime that could lead to execution. Cats were seen as protectors of spiritual and physical life, especially against rodents. When a cat died, families shaved their eyebrows in grief. There are documented cases of crowds attacking and killing foreigners who harmed cats, even unintentionally. It's wild to imagine a world where stepping on a cat's tail too hard could lead to full-scale public fury. In the early 1800s in Switzerland, dancing after midnight, Yai, especially in rural villages, was treated as illegal unless the government granted permission. Authorities feared late-night dancing encouraged rebellion, affairs, disobedience, and disrespect for authority. Officers shut down barn dances and fined anyone who continued. Some people secretly danced in basements, using furniture to block windows. The idea that twirling happily to music could make you a criminal feels absurd, but it happened. In Italy, during the Renaissance, wearing certain colors was illegal unless you belonged to a specific social rank. Deep purple, gold thread, and bright crimson were reserved for nobility. If a merchant or farmer wore them, even accidentally, clothing could be confiscated and fines issued. Fashion wasn't just style, it was hierarchy. So people hired tailors to secretly sew hidden luxury fabric on the inside of sleeves. Illegal fashion. Imagine committing crime just by wearing the wrong shirt. In Norway during the 17th century, blowing a whistle at night was once treated almost like witchcraft. Authorities believed nighttime whistling summoned spirits, ghosts, or even demons. Sailors especially avoided it because it was said to anger the wind and bring storms. If someone ignored the rule, neighbors could report them, and officials would fine or publicly shame them. Imagine being punished not because you committed a crime, but because someone thought your whistle could wake the supernatural. In 1930s Germany, wearing makeup as a teenager in public schools was considered a punishable act because it was labeled moral corruption. Teachers checked faces, lips, and nails. If someone wore lipstick or rouge, they could receive detention, suspension, or be forced to wash their face in front of the whole class. The belief was that makeup encouraged rebellion and destroyed discipline. The idea that a little eyeliner could make someone illegal still feels ridiculously extreme and almost unreal. In South Korea, writing someone's name in red ink was once socially and legally discouraged because it symbolized death. In older times, officials recorded the names of executed criminals or the deceased using red ink. So, writing someone's name in red wasn't just rude, it was considered a curse or threat. Some schools and public offices even banned red signatures. Imagine signing a birthday card for someone and accidentally making them think you threatened their life. In medieval Ireland, wearing fancy shoes with long curled tips, called poulain, was once banned because church leaders said they represented vanity and evil temptation. Some priests even preached that the devil could hide inside the curved shoes. People caught wearing exaggerated shoe designs faced fines or had their shoes publicly cut down in size. Just imagine fashion becoming a crime because someone believed your shoes gave demons a private apartment at the end of your feet. In ancient Sparta, Greece, owning too many household items was considered illegal. Minimalism wasn't a trend, it was the enforced rule. The government believed luxury made citizens weak, undisciplined, and unfit for war. Inspectors sometimes visited homes, and if they found excessive pottery, decorated furniture, or foreign fabrics, the owner could be fined or shamed. Imagine being punished not for stealing, but for simply having too many comfortable pillows or a decorative bowl considered too soft. In 18th century Scotland, children were sometimes punished for playing with toys on Sundays because it violated strict religious rest laws. Even harmless games like spinning tops, marbles, or dolls were treated like sinful distractions. Parents could be fined if their children were caught playing. Some children hid toys in their clothes or barns like contraband. It's surreal to think that the same society that celebrated exploring the world banned children from simply laughing and playing one day a week. In Rome, during Emperor Domitian's rule, selling grapes was temporarily illegal unless the emperor approved it. Why? Because grapes were used to make wine, and Domitian believed vineyards were replacing fields used for wheat, threatening food supply. So suddenly, grapes, the symbol of Roman culture, became restricted. Vineyard owners destroyed crops, markets banned sales, and wine became luxury. Imagine living in a society where a fruit that represented celebration suddenly became treated like dangerous contraband. In 1950s China, owning a foreign radio or listening to broadcasts from other countries was treated as an act of disloyalty. Authorities feared outside ideas would corrupt citizens and weaken national unity. Inspectors patrolled neighborhoods, and if someone was caught adjusting their radio to a foreign channel, the result could be confiscation or arrest. Radios were sealed with wax so the government could see if frequencies were changed. Listening became rebellion. Silence became survival. In colonial America, celebrating Christmas was once illegal in parts of Massachusetts. Puritan leaders saw Christmas as unholy, overly joyful, and too similar to European pagan rituals. Singing carols, exchanging gifts, or even taking the day off work could lead to fines. Shops remained open, and anyone caught treating it as a holiday was labeled irresponsible or sinful. The idea that one of the world's biggest holidays was once treated like a crime feels bizarre and almost impossible. In Thailand, during certain modern periods, stepping on currency, even accidentally, was illegal because every bill contains the image of the royal family. Since insulting or disrespecting the monarchy is a serious crime, stepping on money to stop it from blowing away could land someone in trouble. Tourists often learn this rule the hard way. Imagine chasing a floating coin in the wind and suddenly fearing police because your shoe touched the wrong printed face. In Ethiopia during the early 1900s, owning a mirror was considered suspicious and sometimes illegal among certain communities because mirrors were believed to trap souls. Some leaders feared mirrors could be used for witchcraft, curses, or spirit manipulation. If someone owned a mirror secretly, villagers could report them, and elders might confiscate it or destroy it. Some people buried mirrors underground like forbidden treasure. It's wild to imagine a world where simply checking your reflection could make you look like a supernatural criminal. In Finland, during the 1800s, humming or singing while working on Sundays was treated as a violation of strict Sabbath laws. Even gentle melodies were considered disrespectful. If neighbors heard someone singing, they could report them, and fines or public warnings could follow. Some families whispered songs but never sang loudly. Musicians hid instruments like contraband. Imagine living in a world where music, something created to heal, express, and celebrate, could instead label you as disobedient or morally dangerous. In Turkey during the Ottoman Empire, playing chess in public was considered illegal at certain times because leaders believed it distracted citizens from religion and military duty. Chess players were seen as lazy thinkers wasting their potential. Patrols sometimes confiscated chessboards, especially in taverns or coffee houses. Yet, People played secretly in homes, whispering strategies like state secrets. It's strange when something meant for strategy and intelligence becomes treated as a threat simply because it entertained the wrong people at the wrong time. In Saudi Arabia, for many years, selling or displaying Barbie dolls was banned because authorities claimed the dolls represented Western cultural influence and inappropriate values. Stores couldn't openly display them, and some shops hid them in back rooms like illegal merchandise. Children who owned them learned to keep them hidden from officials. While eventually rules shifted, the idea that a small plastic toy could be considered dangerous or illegal shows how powerful symbolism becomes when culture, identity, and authority collide. In France, during the 1700s, reading certain fairy tales, especially those involving magic, was discouraged or banned in some regions because authorities believed they encouraged superstition and disobedience. Teachers punished children caught sharing stories. Some families copied tales secretly by candlelight, hiding books under floorboards. Ironically, the very stories once treated like spiritual threats later became global classics. It's strange thinking harmless bedtime stories, the same ones that shaped imagination, once lived in the shadows like forbidden knowledge. In Mexico during the early 20th century, wearing traditional indigenous clothing in certain public institutions was discouraged or punished because it was considered unmodern. Authorities forced European-style clothing in schools and government places. Some communities resisted by sewing secret cultural symbols inside sleeves or under collars, invisible rebellion. Clothing wasn't fashion, it was identity. The rule wasn't just about fabric, it was about erasing history. Imagine being treated like a criminal for wearing the clothing of your ancestors. In Australia, at different points in history, owning a pet rabbit without special permission was illegal because rabbits caused massive ecological destruction. What started as a few imported rabbits turned into millions eating farmland, destroying crops, and threatening wildlife. Authorities treated rabbits like biological disasters, so having a cute pet rabbit wasn't innocent, it was treated like harboring a living threat. People hid rabbits in basements or barns, whispering about them like secret pets capable of chaos. In Victorian England, blowing bubbles in public was sometimes viewed as childish and inappropriate, and in certain strict communities, adults could be fined for doing it. Authorities believed bubbles encouraged immature behavior and disorder. Some parks even posted warnings. Yet people loved the fleeting magic of bubbles, so they blew them secretly in gardens or indoors. Imagine joy becoming rule-breaking, and something harmless and beautiful becoming labeled dangerous simply because it didn't fit society's idea of seriousness. In North Korea, laughing during state funerals, even nervously, can be treated as a serious offense. Authorities see laughter as disrespectful to leadership and national mourning. Citizens sometimes practice emotion control before major events to avoid accidental reactions. Stories exist of people punished for showing the wrong expression at the wrong time. Imagine the psychological weight of not just grieving, but having to ensure your grief looks exactly acceptable to the government watching you. In Iceland during the early 20th century, owning or selling beer with alcohol content over 2.25% was illegal because lawmakers feared it encouraged reckless behavior. Wine and strong spirits were allowed, but beer was seen as too casual, too tempting, and too easily abused. Smugglers hid bottles inside food shipments or fishing boats. Beer lovers celebrated secretly in basements. Today, Iceland celebrates Beer Day, a holiday created just to mark the end of that strange prohibition. In Cambodia, under the Khmer Rouge regime, 1975-1979, Wearing glasses was considered suspicious and sometimes punishable. The government associated glasses with education, intelligence, and Western influence, all things they wanted to eliminate. People with glasses were sometimes labeled intellectual enemies, and many removed them to avoid being targeted. Some hid their eyesight problems and lived nearly blind just to survive. It's terrifying to think that something so simple, a pair of lenses, could mark someone for danger. In Sweden during the 1960s, naming your baby anything outside government-approved lists was illegal without official permission. Authorities believed unusual names could cause future emotional harm or disrupt social structure. Parents who chose unapproved names faced legal rejection on birth certificates. Some families fought court battles just to name their children freely. The idea that a government could decide whether your baby's name was acceptable feels bizarre, especially considering how normal it is today to choose unique names. In Uganda, between certain cultural eras, whistling inside a house at night was believed to attract evil spirits or snakes, and some villages treated it as a punishable offense. If a child or adult whistled after dark, elders might fine or warn the family because they believed it risked danger for the entire community. Imagine being in your own home, humming or whistling without thinking, and suddenly everyone around you panicking as if you summoned something terrifying. In Switzerland, flushing the toilet in an apartment after 10 p.m. has been restricted in some regions because it was classified as night noise pollution. Neighbors could report nighttime flushing, and landlords could issue warnings or fines. Some people planned bathroom visits carefully, while others flushed secretly and hoped no one noticed. The idea that one of the most basic human functions could be partly illegal depending on the hour shows how strangely specific certain rules can become. In Japan, for many years, dancing in public after midnight was illegal unless the venue had a special license. The rule originally came from post-World War II era when authorities tried to control nightlife and suspected illegal activities inside dance halls. Even decades later, the rule stayed, and police sometimes shut down nightclubs simply because people were dancing. Imagine a crowd moving to music, then suddenly stopping because dancing at the wrong time turned into a legal issue. In France, during the 1600s, eating potatoes was banned in some regions because people believed potatoes caused diseases like leprosy. Farmers who tried growing potatoes were mocked or fined. The government even labeled potatoes dangerous food. Ironically, potatoes later saved France from famine. It's almost comedic. A vegetable now considered basic survival food once carried the reputation of a deadly poison and illegal threat. People avoided potatoes not because they tasted bad, but because they feared infection. In Mongolia, during certain strict religious periods, cutting hair was considered disrespectful and sometimes punishable because hair was believed to hold life energy. Parents taught children never to cut their hair during sacred times. If someone cut hair anyway, families could face shame or spiritual punishment. Some people secretly cut their hair late at night or burned it so no one would see. Imagine your hairstyle not being personal, but monitored by cultural and religious power. In Victorian-era America, eating peanuts in public, especially at formal places like theaters or elegant streets, was seen as inappropriate, and some towns tried to restrict it. Authorities believed peanuts encouraged rowdy behavior and working-class attitude. Street vendors were pushed away from wealthy areas. Yet peanuts became popular rebellion food, cheap, noisy, and shared casually. It's strange how food that now feels normal and harmless could once mark someone as uncivilized, embarrassing, or even socially illegal. In Romania, under communist rule, owning a typewriter without government registration was illegal because authorities feared citizens printing secret messages or anti-state material. Even family letters were monitored. Typewriter owners had to record every typed page with officials. Some people built secret printing machines hidden behind cupboards or walls. Imagine writing a poem, a birthday card, or a private thought, and needing government permission just to type it. In England during 1615, playing soccer was illegal in several towns because authorities believed it caused chaos, injuries, gambling, and disrespect toward property. There were stories of hundreds of people chasing one ball across fields, breaking fences and windows. Instead of banning violence, they banned the sport. People still played secretly using homemade balls and abandoned fields. The irony? The same sport once treated like uncontrollable madness is now globally celebrated as one of humanity's biggest passions. In North Vietnam during the 1960s, owning a camera without government authorization was considered illegal because leaders feared photography could reveal military structures, troop movement, or weakness. Even family portraits required permissions. People who loved photography took hidden photos quickly and developed them at night. Some buried film rolls in jars to avoid suspicion. Imagine capturing a sunset or a child's birthday and instantly becoming a potential spy because a simple camera was viewed as a national security threat. In India, under British rule, spinning your own cloth at home was once discouraged and later treated as rebellious because it threatened British textile imports. Producing homespun cloth, later called khadi, became a silent act of resistance. Gandhi encouraged people to break this law as a peaceful protest. Owning a spinning wheel was viewed by authorities as supporting independence. A simple thread became a symbol of power, showing how sometimes illegal isn't about danger, it's about control. In India, under British rule, spinning your own cloth at home was once discouraged and later treated as rebellious because it threatened British textile imports. Producing homespun cloth, later called khadi, became a silent act of resistance. Gandhi encouraged people to break this law as a peaceful protest. Owning a spinning wheel was viewed by authorities as supporting independence. A simple thread became a symbol of power, showing how sometimes illegal isn't about danger, it's about control. In Sweden, naming your horse, dog, or farm animal after royalty was once considered disrespectful and punishable. Some people got warnings, others fines, depending on context. Even today, insulting monarchy publicly is risky. Imagine calling your goat King Gustav or your parrot Queen Christina. And suddenly, people treat it like national-level disrespect. Something as harmless as giving your pet a silly royal name could transform into a political crime, depending on who overheard. In the Soviet Union, smiling or laughing during official ID photographs was forbidden because authorities believed smiling represented dishonesty, unseriousness, or anti-state attitude. Citizens were instructed to look neutral, expressionless, and obedient. If someone smiled, the officer rejected the photo. Today, people smile for passports, licenses, social media. Back then, even a tiny grin could be interpreted as rebellion. It's strange how something as natural as smiling could once determine whether you were seen as loyal or suspicious. In Rwanda, during certain traditional eras, twins were believed to be spiritually dangerous, and in some communities, raising both twins was forbidden. Some families sent one away or hid children to avoid punishment. Superstition, not science, controlled lives. Later, the belief changed and twins became celebrated blessings. It's heartbreaking and surreal that something as beautiful as two siblings born together could once trigger fear, stigma, or legal consequences simply because society didn't understand nature. In England during the 1700s, eating chocolate in church was punishable because religious leaders believed it distracted people from prayer. Chocolate was considered luxurious pleasure, something too worldly for holy spaces. If someone secretly sipped chocolate drink during service and got caught, fines or public warnings followed. Some wealthy families paid discreet bribes just to enjoy it. Imagine a world where a delicious drink becomes a symbol of disrespect, not because it harms anyone, but because it makes you happy. In Greece, during some strict historical periods, writing love poems or romantic letters without marriage intention could be seen as harmful or corrupting, especially for young women. Authorities believed romantic writing encouraged rebellion against arranged marriage. Families burnt letters, hid messages in embroidery, or sent them through trusted friends. Poetry, one of humanity's purest emotional expressions, became forbidden. Imagine falling in love and the crime isn't the love, but the words describing it. In North Korea, owning foreign haircuts or copying Western hairstyles was, and still can be, punishable because the government controls acceptable styles. Citizens must select from state-approved haircut lists, which vary by gender. Bright dye, spikes, long unapproved cuts, all considered rebellious. Something as personal as hair became political symbolism. Imagine your reflection not belonging to you, but to the rules of a government deciding how your head should look. In Italy, during Mussolini's regime, listening to jazz music was restricted because authorities labeled it degenerate and foreign influence. Secret jazz clubs formed underground where people danced in basements and traded records like contraband treasures. Police raided gatherings looking for illegal melodies. The idea that a saxophone solo could be considered a threat to government stability sounds absurd, yet for many, jazz wasn't just music. It was resistance, joy, and identity in a society trying to silence rhythm.